networking terminologies in networking terms that you'll be coming across very frequently. So the first one here is the IP addresses. So IP address is a unique identifier for devices on a network. So for every device that is connected to a network, there's what we call an IP address. So IP stands for Internet Protocol. So in order for devices to be able to communicate, every device on the network needs to know each other. There should be a form of uniqueness or identification, so that if I want to call, for example, that like names, for instance, now, if 10 of us are in a room, if I don't know the name of everybody in the room, if I want to talk to them, I'll first of all need to find out what their name is. Or so that's the same thing with computer or devices on the network. Before devices can communicate, they need to exchange name or need to know the name. Sometimes that's why when you go for conferences or for meetings, people wear a tag carrying their name. So if you want to pass a message across to someone, you can address it to the right person. Okay, I have a message I want to send to Mr. A. I have a message I want to send to Minister. I have a message I want to send to Jonathan. I have a message I want to. It will go to the right person. So IP addresses is what we use, and these IP addresses, they are, we have different types of IP addresses. We have in fact, the first thing, we have two versions. We have the IPv4 and IPv6. So for all the devices throughout the world that use internet, everybody has IP address, and in order to be able to address them properly, they need to have a format in which they do that. So IP address is usually when you see something like 10.2.3.4 or 191.168.11. So those are the IP addresses. Now we have private, we have public IP addresses, and we have what we even call subnetting. So these are some deeper breaking down of this networking terms that will happen over the time that you get to understand as time goes on. But basically, just to know that IP addresses are unique identifiers for devices on the network. Then we have the DNS. DNS is what we call the domain name system. So this helps to translate friendly domain names to IP address. Like I mentioned, that every device, everything that is on the internet has an IP address. Now, but because it's difficult to remember IP addresses, there's what we now make use of what we call, you know, friendly domain name. So that's where you hear something like www.cnn.com, www.olaleke.com. That's a domain name, you know. So this domain name, there's always an IP address behind it. So if you are going to a particular website, they give you the website name, www.google.com. That google.com, the system will not read it, or the computing devices on the network will not understand it as www.google.com. There's something that will convert it back to what we call the IP address. So, but basically, what you need to understand, that these domain names that you see, whenever you see www something, or a name, your domain name.com, know that that thing is eventually going to be translated to an IP address, or that name is an IP address that is in a friendly format. So DNS is what is responsible for that. The domain name system is what is responsible for translating domain names into IP addresses. So this is a way also for you to, you know, to identify people or to identify devices on the internet. So as a cybersecurity professional, later on when you are troubleshooting, network and seeing what is going on, you'll be seeing different domain names, happening there. Okay, I think I've talked about firewalls already. Security firewalls are security devices that monitor and control incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. I've explained that one in detail. There's no need for me. So, we're talking about introduction to network and network. So, an example of what I just talked about is, think of a network as a postal system where each device has an IP address. And now DNS acts like a directory service, translating the names into addresses. Exactly. So now, if you have PO Box 5871, I'm just telling you, but that's my PO Box address. Or you have your company's. Although today I know post office is no longer very popular. People rarely post things, to post office now because of the way what they call this thing, logistics or deliveries, addressing is done. People will just send a letter to the house or to the destination directly. But basically, if you have an idea of how post office work, postal system, when you address something, there's usually what we call a directory service. So where you can find all the names and all the names of the owners of those addresses. So that's what DNS is all about. DNS is like will tell you the name of an IP address or convert the name IP address, an IP address to the name. Okay. So other terms, okay. So it's important for you to understand common cybersecurity terms and tools, in this field because it forms the foundation of cybersecurity practices. It doesn't matter, it forms the foundation of cybersecurity. It doesn't matter um, what you what whatever field of cybersecurity you are going on or whatever role you are playing. Some of these terminologies or some of these things are just fundamental things that you need to understand. And it's crucial for everyone that is entering into this field. That's why we are taking time to lay this foundation properly today. So I don't know so far. Does anyone have any questions regarding what we have been talking about so far?